Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. Glad you are listening. Happy to have you with us wherever you are at in the world today. And hopefully the guitar gods are shining on you or something. I didn't know if it was sun or whatever. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. Happy guitar to you. We have got somebody special on the line.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going, guys? This is Brady Smith from Old Blood Noise Endeavors.
Indeed. Glad to have you with us, Brady. What?
Welcome aboard.
Were you doing a zip tie in the back? What was that?
This very moment, I was asked to open a jar of tomato sauce. So,
well, that's a great segue into letting everybody know how this is going to go today a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm at my house now with my wife, and two very young kids, and even though I am doing an interview of some sort, life goes on in the other room.
Yes, and I'm sure most of our audience can relate to that at some level. Okay, so we're doing a podcast, and I'm flipping excited about it because I love doing this. We got a couple things we need to talk about. Tony?
All right, well, let's talk about this one thing.
Okay.
There's one thing that I like to talk about every week.
Yes.
So anyhow, we really do enjoy doing this every week, and we like to hear from everybody out there, and we do hear from a lot of people. I think you sent something that we had some of my brethren from the country of Poland had joined us as listeners.
Yes, that's correct.
So here's the deal. If you really like what we're doing here, you can go to patreon.com/ The Guitar Knobs.
Oh, wait, I just got a text from PBS. They want to know if we want to do their telethon for them coming up. I'll get back to them in a second.
Yeah, please do.
Go
please
on.
do. I would be willing to do that. I would be willing to do that. So let's just say for the cost of something on the 99-cent menu at a popular fast food restaurant.
That rhyme with spendies. Okay.
For something like that, it can every little bit goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And so what we can do, I mean, there's, I think if I remember right, you did tell me that there are different levels.
There are different levels.
And with the higher the level,
seconds.
You can, as Jared would say, and Jared's not with us today.
Yeah, well, he didn't die.
No, sorry, yeah, that's not, well.
I mean,
he's on his way back from.
He's in a plane.
He is in a plane, so let's
and he's easily the heaviest thing on the plane.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But anyhow, as he would say, and you get your name read on the thing.
Right.
So, there's various levels. Go to Patreon. All the info is there.
Yep.
We really enjoy doing this, as I said earlier.
You mentioned that a few times.
Once or twice. And if you enjoy it and you want to help support it.
Brady, can I help you with those jars while we're going through this?
So anyhow, Patreon.
I just had the one.
Patreon.com/ The Guitar Knobs.
Okay.
Thanks in advance.
Yes. Is that, are you done? Are you going to say page 2 or is that no, you're done? Okay. You're tight-lipped. You're giving me the face. I hath offended. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. So we got guitar stuff to talk about. That's why we're here. That's why you're listening. Hopefully. As in hopefully you're still there. Let's check in with Brady and find out what he did this week in his guitar world.
Man, I just go to work every day. We're working on some new stuff, so I pretty much just go in and bang my head against the wall until something hopefully pops out by 5:30.
Nice. You're working on some new, obviously. So I should clarify for those who may not be familiar with Brady Smith of Old Blood Noise Endeavors, the pedal company. So he's a pedal builder.
He's a peddler.
He's a
He's a
founder,
pedal peddler.
Pedal peddler.
Pedal the pedals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the stuff you would be working on would be working on some new pedal designs, I suppose, hey?
Yeah, new pedal designs. It's coming up on that time of the year when, people will actually buy stuff, and
yeah,
we probably should have had this figured out a few months ago. So it's time to, get it together.
I hear you.
Get it going.
Well, you can always give us a holler if you got a late entry for Christmas, and we'll help you get the word out.
We'll have a few.
Excellent.
Few things for you.
Rad.
Yeah. Hopefully we're about to have a tidal wave of stuff after not having very much for the past year. So
yeah,
it's good.
Well, you have an inventory, quite an inventory to deal with already. I mean, you got a lot of stuff in there, but we'll get to that in the interview.
Sure.
Yeah.
More on that later.
How about you, Tony?
Well, let's see. This week, I was in the shop an awful lot this week, playing a little catch up, doing all that fun stuff. I don't know if we talked about it, but I actually did finish up the last couple of projects, the Bacon Belmont, as well as the John Fogerty Rick 325 replica.
Right.
That now says Acme, just like his. So those are both in the done column.
Good.
Done and done.
Good. So we don't have to.
So we don't have to ever talk about them ever again.
Except for this time.
For this time.
Okay.
But maybe next week. You just never know with me.
Right.
Sometimes. But no, aside from that, just working on. Todd was giving me some advice on the website, so I was playing around with that a little bit, trying to clean that up, make it a little bit more user friendly, and just general stuff. So nothing real exciting. That's my life.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bring the excitement then. Right here.
Okay. Here he is.
Now. So raise your hands if you are familiar with dark glass electronics. Raise them both if you're driving. Dark Glass Electronics is a pedal company out of Finland, and they specialize in bass gear. So you're asking yourself, Todd, why are you talking about bass gear? I mean, basses are guitars too, and I venture to say that most of us probably have a bass out there. I believe
there's less strings in a guitar.
There's a couple less strings. There's more wood. But I just wanted to, I don't know, I was intrigued, and I said, through Pedal Genie, I checked out one of the pedals. And I was just like, it just looks super intriguing. And I was like, wow, what the hell? Let me try it. And it is the Alpha Omicron. This is a gorgeous pedal. I liken it. You know when you get an iPhone and you just kind of hold the box. You don't even open it. You're just like, this box is really amazing, and I don't want to put it down. Right? It's kind of, I don't know why, but that's kind of how it is. This is that same thing. It's a different profile from most of the pedals that I've encountered. It's a little slimmer height-wise, but it has this just really amazing texture on it, and it's very strange. The pedal itself is a drive. It's like no other pedal I've tried out. I mean, it's hard. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, I had to bring it over to Tony and say, let me just show you, because trying to explain was a little complicated. This is one of the best pedals that I probably have plugged into my amp, and my guitar sounded like a monster.
So you were still playing guitar? Is it intentionally? Is that one a bass pedal, or is that one a
pedal? Yeah, I think that's really what their specialty is. They're all bass pedals.
Because I've played the other one, the Alpha.
Right.
Omega. It's a little bit larger.
Yep.
But never through a guitar, just through bass. So this has a mod setting, and it has the Alpha and Omega set control on this. Gotcha.
It also has a simple on-off button for growl and on-off button for bite. It's got a blend knob, a level knob, and a drive knob. So for all intent and purpose, it's a standard overdrive pedal, but it has that Alpha and Omega mod, which kind of, I mean, for lack of better terms, it feels like it opens up the signal or tightens it. And by opening, you kind of like roll off the treble a little bit, and by tightening, you get a little bit more treble. But it's more It's more. It interacts with the drive.
It was more of a kind of a mid-range sweep. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess. Yeah, you could say that.
I mean, it basically contoured the drive.
Yeah, and only the drive.
Right.
That was the really unique thing. It didn't. If you didn't have the drive up, the mod wouldn't work. Like we tried it with the drive all the way down, and the mod did nothing.
Right.
But as soon as we cranked up the drive, the mod did wonderful things. We plugged it in, so I had it running through my amp at home, the Harris, the two-band factory that I got, going through a Hagstrom Viking, and it was glorious. I mean, I immediately got on the line with everybody that I interact with about this kind of stuff, and I was like, I can't wait to show you this pedal. I took it down to Tony's shop. We plugged it into his hand-wired AC30. 15, sorry. And then you had it was a Guild Starfire that we played it through. Mm-hmm. And
it's a really cool pedal. And, it is interesting how a lot of times amps, pedals, whatever that are designed for basses actually work really well with guitars.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that comes to mind is like a 62 Bassman.
Yeah.
I mean, you plug into that, and it is just plug a guitar into that, and it sounds incredible.
Yeah.
It's a great amp.
And it didn't, it really, we just talked about contouring the drive, but this just really didn't add color. I mean, it felt like this was all amp oriented from all the dynamics, as opposed to like, plugging in a Tube Screamer where in my opinion, you get a colored sound.
Yeah.
You're the pedal builder, Brady. What do you? What was your interaction with this brand?
So I do on the side. I do some guitar teching. Mm-hmm. One of the bass players that I worked for had within the last couple months had gotten one of the dark glass compressors. I forget what that one is called. And then the dark glass Alpha Omega. So it's like the Alpha Omicron or whatever, but it looks like it has more controls and stuff.
Right.
There's something really. So I didn't see them brand new in the box. I saw them when it was time to throw them on a pedal board.
Yeah.
But there's like a kind of crazy like sheen or like a finish on the cases.
Yeah.
That makes them feel nicer than.
Yeah, it's like a real smooth anodized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anodized with like a satin over it or something. I mean, it is luxurious. You pick this up and it's just like, this is really great. I haven't heard it. This is going to be great. This is going to be good. Because you can tell a lot went into it.
It's super strange that we're kind of like, we're spending so much time just talking about the finish of the pedal.
Yeah.
It really is unique and weird in a way. It's very European, very nice.
Yeah. Well, and for those who don't know, Finland is all of our early cell phones pretty much came from Finland. All of the Nokia. That's all Finland. They do good electronics over there. Anyhow, so there was that. And this thing sounds awesome. I was really, really happy with it. So yeah, if you get a chance to try one out or pick one up or, do whatever, even though it's a bass pedal, man, it'll make your guitar do awesome things. It says beautifully brutal. That's what it says on the website when you go to this thing. And that's a fair assessment. Okay, everybody. One of my favorite things is
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor.
Okay, Brady's got his 4 on the floor for us. Go ahead.
All right, so this is harder. It's more difficult than I thought it would be, just to pick like the things that I think are essential plus the things that I think are interesting. Because I actually eliminated some things based on my perception of them not being interesting.
Oh, okay.
Or like, we don't need to talk about that. Everybody kind of knows why you use that pedal, sort of thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. The first one that I always use is the Boss RV5 Reverb, standard for me.
Interesting. Why that model?
It's just the one that I've had since I got rid of the RV3. I don't know. I mean, I've had it for 7 years or something, 5 years. I don't know.
So there's obviously, before you got into doing so many of your pedals, and we'll get into that later. But is that's like the first reverb that you encountered and you just kind of stuck with it, or?
Yeah, probably the Boss. The RV3 was my first one, I bet. And then along the line, I just upgraded, traded for that RV5.
And now, obviously, there's a lot of reverb pedals out there. So this must have something that you are holding on to.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. I think that I just turn it on and I don't really have to worry about how it sounds. Like it's gonna do what I want it to do.
Do you use it is it like an always on kind of thing, or do you use it for effect reverb?
No, I use it for maybe like 50% on, but not necessarily an extravagant effect. So my signal chain will typically be guitar into the RV5 into a drive pedal into another reverb after that.
Wow.
So that the drive is picking up the RV5 signal,
Yep.
And so it kind of makes it to me it makes it feel a little more a little bit roomy, just kind of bigger.
That's interesting. I'll have to try that. I want to get home to try that order.
Are you running dry signal, or pure wet signal into the drive, or a combination?
Just pure wet.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through a number of years of having really, really complicated big setups, stereo setups, and 20 pedals, as many amps as I could take, and eventually I stopped. I tore apart my pedal board, and then since then I've had 5 pedals that I use maximum.
Wow.
And
sometimes simple is better.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always sound the same, but that kind of is what I'm comfortable with at this point. Just to start from there, and then if I ever need anything more, I really need to need it. Really need to need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, what do you got for number 2?
Ibanez SC10 stereo chorus.
Oh, okay.
That's no better chorus.
Is that a vintage one, or is it?
Yeah. So it's the 10 series that they did in the, I think it was 80s, maybe early 90s.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
They've got a very unique look to them. It's similar to like the TS9 enclosure, but then the foot switch is like a little plastic piece on the left side, or maybe the right side of the pedal, like halfway down. It's kind of, I don't know. They're all very colorful and plain and utilitarian looking, but
this is the CS10. Did you say the CS10?
The SC10.
SC10. Right. Yeah. Sorry. Cool. Gotcha. Yeah. And that looks super duper 80s.
Yes. And it sounds amazing.
Awesome.
I mean, it does really. I use chorus a lot of times for sort of warbly, fast rate leads, single note leads,
Okay.
So you can create a melody out of it, not necessarily playing really fast, but it does that really well. So
coloring
a good range.
Coloring the sound rather than so you've got a chorus pedal.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Nice.
What do you have for number 3?
Let's go with the Electro Harmonics bass micro synth. Speaking of bass pedals with guitar.
I sense a theme here.
Yeah. That's the newer one, not the vintage ones.
So do they make a guitar synth pedal, or is it?
They do. It's a purple one.
They do.
And
so this one, the bass one's green.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it does other things other than there's other differences other than the color.
What does this one do? It's purple.
It does the purple.
Yeah, we love the purple thing. So why, just out of curiosity, I mean, or did you try a guitar one and a bass one and just ended up preferring the bass one, or?
I did not. I got the bass one in a trade somewhere, and it's been. So it's not necessarily.
What does it do for you?
Well, it's not necessarily a pedal that I always use on my board, but if I'm looking for ideas, then or recording or just sort of messing around, I'll have it in the mix because it gives a really good gated, precise, I don't know, synth sound. You know, it still sounds like a guitar, but it's just really gainy, and you can mess with the frequency range of that. And so I feel like you can do a lot with that pedal that's not really explored very much.
That's cool. That's a good way to think about it.
So typically, how would you use it in, let's say, a live situation?
I probably wouldn't. I'd probably only use it in recording. And then if I needed to play those songs live, I would.
So you're just shaping the sound and.
Yeah, and it's like really, really sharp, aggressive little leads. It sounds like a little keyboard part, but it's definitely not.
Okay, number 4. What do you got?
All right, so Strymon Blue Sky Reverb.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's just just like the RV5, it's a different flavor of reverb, but it's all pretty. It's all beautiful and it's all tameable.
Yeah.
So this would be the one that you would put after your drive pedal.
Yes.
If you're on your board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a reason that comes up so often.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great pedals.
Yeah, they really are.
Were you an early adopter to the Strymon stuff, or did you find them later, or?
I don't know. I'm not sure of their timeline.
Okay.
To be honest, I got into it by the time that the first pedals I got were the Blue Sky and the Timeline.
Okay.
So they had done some of their I think compressor and flanger and.
Right. Yeah, they had the previous standalone stuff in the older boxes, as I recall. The
Yeah.
So with that pedal, do you find yourself from what I've experienced when people are talking about? So I have the Timeline or the Big Sky or whatever it is. It's like they found the one or two that they like, and then they just kind of stay there, or it's a rabbit hole kind of thing, and they don't really land anywhere. Just they keep screwing with it. So
yeah,
what camp do you kind of fall in there?
Well, I hate the rabbit hole idea because I feel like, for me personally, I worry about time so much that's not enjoyable. The idea of getting lost into something is kind of stressful.
Yeah.
That being said, with the Timeline, I'll do that. I'll use their presets as a starting point for lots of stuff. I'll just go up to bank 52 and see what it is.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's great. But I hardly will construct a sound myself. Start. I don't know, go to a specific mode and then start digging deep into the settings. It's more of a what do they already have on here that's cool? And then I'll start from there if I like it. So the Blue Sky was a little bit, I have that, but it's a little bit harder for me to get into.
Yeah.
It just never clicked, which is why, I used 2 reverb pedals with 3 modes or 5 modes or something. I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay, cool, man. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun board.
Yeah, it's simple. It's easy.
A lot of
tameable.
It's simple and easy, but that's a board that you just described that would make a lot of maybe unexpected noise. You know, just from you know, dual reverbs and a microsynth. You know, and a chorus. That's a lot of musical texture right there. That's cool. Cool. Right on. Thanks for sharing, man. Hey everybody, we have Brady on the line because Old Blood Noise Endeavors makes some pretty rad pedals, and I'm quite sure that you out there are familiar with one or many of his pedals, or maybe have been aware of some of the other pedals he's done. And we're gonna ask him all the questions about how he got where he's at, because it is it's a pretty unique story, I think, in the industry. And so I personally want to find out more about that. And I think that it's one of those things that actually maybe people don't know a whole lot about. But when you do find out, you're like, oh, holy crap. That's kind of a big story, at least in my opinion. So then, maybe then he can shed some light on where he's going with his pedals and the Old Blood company. Brady, you didn't start out at Old Blood Noise, right?
I did not. That is correct.
Okay.
He says cautiously.
Overruled.
Yeah. Are we prefacing, or are we in actual interview territory now?
We are in actual interview territory. So I think it's really important to know. Obviously, you know, we want to know all about Old Blood Noise Endeavors, but I think it's really important to kind of have a good understanding of from whence you came.
I've actually worked at 2 other guitar pedal companies. I've spent some time working for guitar pedal parts distributor in the past, and done a lot of stuff before Old Blood even started.
Okay.
So,
are you able to dive into that, or am I in territory that is best left untalked about?
No, we can dive in. I'm not confrontational, so
okay.
I won't I'm not out to start stuff. There's nothing to start.
Good.
Let me back up there.
Yeah.
That sounds way more ominous than it is.
It does.
This is an open book. We can talk about whatever.
Good. Well, let's start with where you started in the industry.
Let's see. I started at Keeley Electronics in 2009.
I'm going to put a ding sound right there. So every time we hear a ding, you're going to be like, oh, geez, because we're going to hear a few dings here. So,
okay.
So a little company named Keeley.
Yeah, a little company named Keeley.
Okay.
And it was, it was already huge then in 2009. So,
and what were you doing there?
I started as just modding pedals. So just as a modder. Mm-hmm. And then
I wonder if you modded the Rat pedal that I have, because it's a Keeley mod.
Check the inside.
Oh,
we put the date and the initials of who modded it and who inspected the mod. So it's always
I'm really excited to go check it out.
Open.
Yeah,
okay.
And the window would be, well, I didn't do very many Rats, but I did some.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a lot of the Ibanez and Boss stuff, and then I built a lot of the phasers. I don't know if you remember the Keeley phasers that they put out while I was there, at least. I'm not sure when they stopped, but
not as familiar with those. I'm secretly hoping that my pedal's worth a lot more now, if that is the case.
that I'm tied to it?
No
way. No way. Worth less, maybe.
Oh God, not that guy.
Yeah. So that's where
that thing.
That's where you cut your teeth there. That's where you're cutting your teeth.
Yeah, that's where I hadn't done anything related to the inside of a pedal before that.
Wow.
So they had hired me. They just needed somebody to mod pedals. So
okay,
there was a substantial crew there already.
So you started as a modder, and now you're a fodder.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
You're just saying words that sound like
modder and fodder. The Faja and the Maja.
Oh, that's your thing. Okay.
That's my thing.
Anyways, forgive Tony. He knows not
Plus
what he does.
Plus you get your name read on the thing.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, you're in Keeley, and then you what prompts you to leave?
I got the opportunity to help start up Walrus Audio. That was really I didn't really know what that was going to be. It was just sort of jumping off to do something a little bit more involved with the pedal business. You know, at Keeley, I was a technician. I built pedals. I learned a lot, but I didn't have the understanding of how business is run, how it's run with guitar pedals too.
Right.
You know, all the facets that go with that.
Right.
And this was an opportunity to learn that.
So
have a stake in it as well.
Was that from ground zero up? You were in on Walrus?
Yeah, that was 2000. That was early 2011. I stopped working at Keeley and did part-time at a place called Mammoth Electronics, while I kind of helped construct and act out the beginnings of Walrus Audio.
So now in between Walrus, you were working at Mammoth or during? Okay.
In between. Walrus we put out our first pedal, I think it was August of 2011, the Voyager. And so up until then, it was just sort of I needed to get hours doing something. And so I powder coating, I did.
You mean at Mammoth?
At Mammoth, yeah.
So that kind of took off like pretty crazy. It seems like it was like there's this place that has these things, and now it's like that is the place to get the things.
Yeah. Based in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah. So you were doing powder coating. So you're still sort of at a technician level. So a lesson that we're getting for everybody is that not everybody just goes straight to the top of everything. Like Brady's obviously putting in time, like just learning the craft and getting his hands dirty and stuff. I mean, I know you're right there, and yeah, you can hear me saying this, Brady. But for some reason, I feel like I went off, like I broke the fourth plane or whatever in like a play, and I'm talking to the audience.
Yes. The narrator.
Yeah. Plots have I laid. Anyways, that was from Richard III, just saying.
Thanks. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. You still getting your feet wet in the industry. Then you have the opportunity to go start Walrus Audio. You're starting this with somebody that you'd worked with before? Is this a friend? Like, how did that get started?
It was a friend. He was an investor, wanted to create a guitar pedal company.
Success.
But yeah. And it was 100% his company the whole time. So yeah.
Your role in that is, at that point he pulls you in. Are you are you now the guy that's going to lead the design on this, or like what's your role? You're in the door at the ground level of a brand new pedal company. What are you doing?
Everything that can be done to create a job for myself. We worked with some outside guys on designs. Yeah, some things I was a part of and some things I wasn't, from top to bottom. So like money stuff, I wasn't dealing with finances.
Right.
With that company.
I don't blame you. I try to stay as far away from that crap as possible.
Oh, that wasn't that yes, smartly.
Yeah.
That wasn't my choice or my understanding, but
yeah.
Now owning my own company, like I understand if it's your nest egg, it's hard to let somebody else dictate where that goes, even fully understand what all's there, It's
right.
not, there's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, sure. Did you have, where did you have the heaviest hand within Walrus? Or is your, when you're talking about the different pedals that are coming through, are you still at a bit of a technician level? Or are you designing, the what the pedal does? Like, is your signature on any of the pedals that we have learned to know and love?
I helped with the design of all of the first 6 or 7 pedals. So it was me and an outside guy designing those.
And you're talking about like the actual sound design, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And the outside credit. And then the last pedal that I was working on there was the first digital pedal that we had done. And we were working with somebody else on that because it's kind of a different landscape than we were used to.
Which pedal was that?
And so that was the Descent Reverb.
That's still a big one, man. I mean, that one still is a pedal that gets talked about quite a bit.
It was one that I got about 75% of the way through, and then I stepped out.
Yeah.
Before it was completed. So
okay, so you got way more knowledge, way more learning at this point, and this is over like a couple of years, 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, that was 2011 to 2014. So 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then your next step is
March of 2014. I put in my notice at Walrus Audio. I found out that night that I was about to have my first kid.
Did you do that because you were having your first kid, or just like that was a coincidence?
No, I didn't know. I gave up the one ounce of stability in my life, and then found out that I needed it afterwards. And then 2 weeks later, I started guitar teching and touring part-time as a means to pay the bills. And then that's kind of how Old Blood formed in that time frame, probably the few months leading up to me leaving Walrus.
Okay. How did you get into teching?
I only work for a specific band, and they just asked if I wanted to do it.
Oh,
so
that's serendipitous. That's cool.
Yeah. So the December before that, they started doing stuff again and asked if I wanted to. And I had met these guys through Walrus and guitar pedals and stuff. And yeah,
are you still teching for them?
Yeah, I am.
Or do we get to know who they are?
You want? It's a band called Brand New.
So then this is where you get into Old Blood, right?
Yeah. Before that, probably December, sort of kicking around this idea of what to do and what to do differently. I know guitar pedals. I like guitar pedals. So how do I make that into, if I was going to make my own business, how do I do that? How do I take from what I learned from Keeley and what I learned from Walrus and do the things that made sense to me?
I would imagine that there's a fair amount of trepidation going into that, because at this point we still haven't hit like full apex of pedal saturation in the market, but there's still a fair amount. I mean, if you're coming out of Walrus and Keeley, I would assume, especially being a younger guy at that point, saying, well, maybe why does the world need another widget? You know, like did that go through your head at all? Or
I think a lot of that was sort of that pre-quitting area of time. You know, because I'm not gonna. I need to be sure if I'm jumping off a cliff. Yeah. You know, and that's what I was doing. And I was giving up a job in an industry that I really, and I enjoyed the idea of the job and what it was supposed to be and what the company was supposed to be at that time. But it wasn't clicking with me. It's kind of like the option was to continue to be sort of pressed down and not happy in that thing that should be enjoyable, or make a
different
change.
Than a band, actually. Like if you're in a band and you're like, hey, this is not I'm not digging this, I'm not digging where the music is headed, or I don't like the people, but it's an alluring thing and it's not something that you want to just give up, because it's hard to do that, and it's a cool industry.
Yeah, it's a little bit deceptive in that, like, the same thing with a band. You can't, maybe some people can, but I found myself unable to just do the job because it was a cool idea,
right?
Or it was like an interesting, different job. I needed like an emotional connection to it that was sort of cut off at some point. I think that's similar to playing in a band. It would be very hard for me to play music every night that I had no connection to.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's just work. And I respect that and understand that. I just don't know how to do that very well.
Yeah, sure. I totally understand what you mean by that, and I can see wherever you are in a particular industry that the allure of that from an outside opinion or an outside view rather, it's kind of hard to hold on to that and then do the mundane crap that isn't that all the time.
Yeah.
But still holding on to that shred of, but this is cool though, right? And
it is cool. It just wasn't, that one just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, hey, look, you got a real cool gig coming out of that. So let's get into Old Blood. How did you roll into, where'd you get the name? What's up with the name?
Old Blood Noise Endeavors is a partnership between myself and my friend and longtime collaborator, Seth McCarroll. Seth is a true artist. I don't know. I think of him that he just operates on an artistic level beyond a lot of other people, and it's amazing to watch. It's kind of like spacey, and it's kind of like brings something to Old Blood that we need. But anyways, we started it together, and I think it's important to note his contribution in everything as well.
So what was the first pedal that you I guess the flagship product?
The first one was the Black Fountain oil can delay. And so it's
That's
a digital
Tony's favorite, by the way.
I did like that one the best.
Oh, nice. That was the first one out of the gates.
And what was the instrument? I mean, did you have an old oil can pedal or unit that you were trying to replicate, or?
I didn't personally, but for a long time, we had been bouncing around the idea. There was a guy at a dealer, I think somewhere, maybe in Michigan or Wisconsin, that I had talked to a couple times back in the Walrus days. And we were just kind of brainstormed on a possible pedal idea. And I sort of held on to that. Nothing came to fruition. And when Old Blood came around, I was like, I know how we can make this now, whereas we didn't really have the means to back then. So, because it's a digital pedal, we weren't acquainted with the technology to do it back then.
Gotcha. So you were just referencing Seth, right? So when you're saying he's an artist, I just I want to check into this real quick. To be clear, we're talking about the sound design, yes?
No. So that probably doesn't make a lot of sense just to say that somebody is an artist. Seth is like, so the way I think of it is I'm a little more like numbers oriented and like business. Like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get all the details lined out. We're going to take care of it. This, and this. And then Seth will come in and be like, what if we did this for this pedal or this video, and it's something outrageous and amazing. And
so he's bringing the weird.
He's bringing
sounds like.
In a good way.
I definitely in the best way. I definitely wouldn't say it like that because it's not exclusive to just weird stuff. Seth,
that's fair. Yeah.
His skill set is in video production, marketing, and things like that. So he's the one that does all of our videos, shoots all of our videos. He's responsible for what the public sees.
Yeah.
When they first look at us.
When we got our box of pedals from you, and we got the Black Fountain and the Fault Overdrive and the Dark Star Pad Reverb, and each one has its own box that has rad graphics. I mean, from a total package, from a brand standpoint, I mean, you guys got that on lockdown, and it's impressive, and it makes you feel good, especially when you're dropping, your hard-earned money, big or small, on something. You want to feel like you're getting the whole package, and you guys definitely deliver that.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
that's a lot. It's like it's a combination of what we both bring to the table, and then, as we've gotten bigger, there's 5 or 6 of us that actually work day to day at Old Blood.
Right.
Everybody sort of brings something to the table that makes us a little bit better than we would be otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting. I'm going to reference a couple things that we've talked about so far. So going through these different stages, like, you're going through Keeley. They're a little bit, I guess, for lack of better terms, straightforward or cleaner in their overall approach, sound and design, I would say, from a brand standpoint. And then, obviously, you go through Mammoth, and then Walrus. Walrus starts to get, you start tapping into fringe elements in sound design as well as brand. And I want to take a minute here because I've referenced brand, you've referenced brand, we've said marketing a couple times, and that's impactful because, yes, this is guitar stuff, but just as when you go buy, if you buy a bottle of wine, you're standing there looking at 100 bottles of wine, and you know what? You're going to pick it based on the one that you think you like because it's talking to you in a visual and tactile manner. And it's a huge thing for us, whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we've paid attention to, I don't want another yellow pedal, or I don't want, it's like, those choices are huge. We take pictures of our pedal boards, not because they sound good. It's because that's our signature, and that's our visible fingerprint of what our sound is. So all of the things that we're talking about from a branding standpoint, from a packaging standpoint, from a graphics standpoint, from a materials, we talked about the Dark Glass Alpha Omicron. It's like we're talking about the actual thing almost more than it was about the sound. Now, obviously, this stuff has to sound rad, and you guys have that covered in spades. But the big point of being able to make a big impact without plugging it into your guitar rig first is a huge challenge, and it's something that if you can overcome, you're going to probably stand to win big. And I think that's something you guys definitely did. I know that's hard because I'm in that industry. I know it's like that's a tough thing to do. So good on you guys for that.
Well, thank you.
You're done good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's that's a lot of the stuff that I picked up at Walrus, or a lot of the stuff that I started looking at and paying attention to, like how we presented ourselves, what I was comfortable with as a representation, as well as what made sense from both an artistic standpoint, but also a practical business or sales standpoint. Like, and we're actually, like, this is something we were talking about today, and I've been thinking about a lot. Like, the color of pedals is such an alienating thing. We've done a lot of, like, sort of earth tones as the basis of our pedals, and, like, I want stuff that looks like the 80s. All of those Ibanez pedals, that's like, I'm in love with the color schemes that they used on that 10 series stuff. And so trying to find a way to implement that without really sacrificing somebody looking at the pedal before they've even heard it and saying, nope, I don't want that color of pedal.
Yeah.
Like, no, well, it's the sound you want, though.
Yeah.
It's a hard.
Yeah, the packaging does matter. I mean, otherwise everybody would just have plain metal boxes with Sharpie
Yeah.
marker indicators
and you
on
can
it.
get those.
And you can get those too.
At least my experience with these pedals that you've made, it sounds like they look. And that is also hugely important, because it is really weird when you get a pedal and you're like, I'm looking at it and pretty sure I know what this is going to sound like, and you plug and then it doesn't match up. And it's just like, what? Wait, it's confusing. Sound is such a subjective thing, and your music is such a subjective thing. A lot of decision goes into, what am I going to drop my cash on? Mm-hmm. You want to align with something that not only feels like your band, like, hey, you know what? If you're doing a Jimmy Buffett tribute, you're not going to probably be using Old Blood pedals from a first reach standpoint. It might be the right sound you want. I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's just like those don't go together.
Oh, you blew it. That's his next pedal, is the Margaritaville.
Oh, man, the Margaritaville, yes.
The buffet. The buffet.
The buffet.
The buffer ramp. The buffer ramp.
Jeez.
It's easy to say.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we're driving this. I think the point is well made. It's like all of the things that go into someone going, yes, I'm going to pull the trigger on this pedal. You guys are doing very, 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 very well. However, actually not a however, and it's an and. I think you're like, what? However, that was great. Way to keep going, man.
I'm gonna learn
the actual sound that you guys have created out of these. Tony and I were we had these plugged in. We were playing them loud, and it was really interesting because you created the bulk of your pedals that handle pretty signature kinds of things. Like, I definitely want this specific thing. Sure, you have like the Fault, which is like it's like a dual gain stage drive.
Yeah,
and then the Black Fountain is a fairly straightforward delay, but it definitely has some things you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this here. But then you get into some of the other ones, and you start getting into that out there territory that it matches up with what your brand kind of stands for. I want to get an understanding of like, at what point did you decide to say, we're going to go out to this fringe and we're going to hang out there and we're actually going to kill it?
I mean, I think that's a debate I have all the time. If that's a good move, you never know when you are killing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to know what the scale of something working is. I think we've had to rely on the fact that if we put something out, we have to like it. We have to enjoy the way that we presented it.
Right.
And so it's almost like, it sounds pretentious, stupid, but it's like a piece of art. It's a project that you work on for a long time. So really, in the end, you have to be comfortable with it, and you have to declare that it's like done. There's going to be people that like it, and then people that hate it. Yeah. And then lots more in between. So
I don't think that sounds pretentious at all, man. I think that sounds like very well thought out. You're not trying to put something out there just because. I mean, these aren't the words that you said, but to me, that's what that meant, which is you could very easily say, you know what, the world needs another Reverb, and we're gonna do it, and we got to be wackier than the last one was.
Sure,
but it doesn't feel that way at all. It's like, you had on the Dark Star, it was like very choiceful things and surprises. That's the thing. Like even with the Black Fountain, it's like, oh, I didn't. Oh, wow, look at what it's doing here. Oh, that's a trip. What if we would click to the next toggle? What does that do? Oh my gosh, that's and that is different than saying, twisting knobs and going, okay, yeah, that's crazy. I like that, or I don't like it. I think it's really easy to find pedals that do that, So you have some things that are very, very unique, but thematically choiceful decisions in the audio variables that you're giving us.
Well said, Todd.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well said.
So we talked about, I mean, the three that you were kind enough to send over for us to try out: the Dark Star, the Black Fountain, and the Vault OD.
I really want to try the Haunt Fuzz.
Yeah, he's.
I love fuzz.
Todd is a fuzz man. So what other? I've seen some of the things on your site. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about some of the other pedals, and then what do you have in the works?
Can I jump in there real quick before you do?
You can.
I want to bring up another point, and it does get into where you were going, Tony. But I want to set it up a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. So, Brady, you've got your sort of signature sound pedals that all look and feel, of a certain ilk. And we just talked at length about those. Those are you're paying for those effects and for that brand at that level. I think another really smart thing from my professional background, this is something that I really cued in on. You provided an entry level way that made a lot of sense to be able to get into your brand. Meaning, when you have something like the Procession Reverb or something, you've got that at $199. For some people, that is an absolute bargain. For some people, they may never be able to get there, right? Maybe used in a couple of years or something like that. We are all over the place with what we're able to afford. Because you've carefully cultivated a rad brand in Old Blood Noise, people want to feel part of brands. You align with something, you're like, that's like me, and I like it, and I'm going to follow it on Instagram, and I'm going to want that pedal, and it's going to be on my Christmas list, and I'm going to sell other gear to get one of those pedals so that I can have this signature on my board in my sound with my music, right?
Yep.
If you only have that, again, that may never be achievable for some people. The idea that you came in with basically a utility line is like crazy smart marketing, dude. And I know this isn't the marketing podcast, but I'm glad that you did it. So you've got a headphone amp, super smart, crazy good utility offering. The buffer, I think a lot of people don't fully understand buffers. But that's an easy way to get into your brand. And then the ABY switcher, also awesome, especially if you're trying to figure out how to get a more unique sound running two different amps or something like that. And then you have the EQ plus buffer. So each of those is totally an easy way in from a money standpoint as well as a use standpoint. So I may really be digging what Old Blood Noise Endeavors is about from a brand standpoint. Just from what you guys represent, the sort of counterculture. It's on the fringe.
Sure.
But I may not need the Dark Star in my sound.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
But I can have the the switcher or the buffer or the EQ, and I'm still in the brand, and I can still be aligned with you, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, that was the target, that like to make some sort of normal, really useful things like that all of us at Old Blood need or use.
Yeah.
We don't just use super weird stuff all the time. I think there's a place and an enjoyment in a lot of the more popular and basic things.
Yeah.
So we have all of those too, and we use all of those too. So
yeah. And so definitely you got to check out the oldbloodnoise.com site because those ones aren't as noticeable out there, I don't think, yet.
Yeah. They're all designed. They're all white with black ink and have a similar look and feel to them. They're not really meant to pop off your board. They're just meant to do they do.
Yeah, and they just have the big the eye logo with the drop. Cool, man. Well, okay. So to Tony's point, Tony, did I adequately?
Yeah, I mean,
railroad you.
I'm just not going to say another word. No, I think that's cool that you do have those offerings. But I was just trying to give you a chance to talk a little bit about some of your, other pedals and things like that, and then of course stuff that you have in the works that might be of interest, and to see where you're going.
Sure, yeah, we like you guys mentioned, we kind of try to explore the fringes of each effect. And a lot of times the start of that will be inspired from something we've heard, either in a song or a movie or, some sort of soundscape. It's like, where did that noise come from? Is that delay? Is that a flanger? Is that some crazy fuzz with the mixture of all three of those things? And then we sort of try and target that sound over the basic part of that sound. So with the Dark Star, it's a reverb, but the aim was to make a very ambient and pad-like reverb that you can add stuff to taste. You can add different modulation to it and have a similar but altogether different sound. And so there's like pitch shift elements and bit crush, and then delay plus reverb, which just can create really long, soft and smooth sounding notes, And
that one in particular is like, that can sound like the world is about to end, or it can sound like you're laying in somebody's lap and your hair's being stroked. I mean,
absolutely.
Tony's giving me weird. I'm just saying. I'm just it's a seductive thing.
Yeah.
And I told Tony when we were doing that, when I feel like Johnny Greenwood right now, like, kneeling on the floor as the show's going, just like twiddling knobs, and getting these immense. That's a word that I would use. Like, that is an immense sounding pedal.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
running one of my favorite. Not that this was the question, but one of my favorite settings with any of our pedals is running the Haunt Fuzz into the Dark Star on the bit crush mode.
Yeah. Oh, super
and
gaudy,
it just
I imagine.
with the mix on the Dark Star maxed out, and it's just a wall. It's like a very deep wall of sound.
Yeah.
And that's what we were going for. So
awesome.
But yeah, like there's that one. The Reflector Chorus is kind of our take on weird, kooky chorus sounds, verging on like vibrato and different stuff like that. So we always sort of we try and have a very usable setting within each pedal, that maybe does close to what you would expect that type of effect to do, but then really explore combination of effects and how you can push the boundaries on what that is.
A word that comes to mind when we're talking about all these right now is disrupt. Each pedal has like a disrupt function in a cool way, and it's like that's something that we identified as like as a signature. Like, okay, get the theme. Each one of these does what it says it's going to do, but then there's like a feeling lucky button.
Do not push.
Yeah. So
you sort of have to brace yourself for where it's going to take you.
It's really cool. So these are your core. You've had these out for, like you said, about, I think, what, a year, 2 years, roughly?
Well, we started in 2014. So some of them, we just scatter the releases. Right. Since then, pretty much.
The Mongreen is the newest one. Am I correct?
The Mondegreen came out in 2016. The Fault came out earlier this year.
Okay, Fault. So, all right.
And that was,
So where can give us a little taste of where you're heading without giving the farm away?
Well, we we've been working on. We announced a tremolo pedal.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Back in.
Sorry, I'm looking for the right one. I hope that's what it is.
Man, I hope it is too. I hope we get it done someday. It's the curse of the white cap. It's called the white cap, and it is quite a challenge. So
wow,
it's not quite done yet. We're still working on that, but in the meantime, we've got a man. I don't know how to tease without giving away. We've got some stuff influenced by some of those Ibanez 10 series pedals that we've gotten into. So some different effects that we haven't done, and then some taste of effects that we've done already. So
cool. Well, that's good enough. We won't press you on that too hard. It's exciting that you have things coming out. I think just even knowing that is going to give our listeners, something to chew on and look forward to. So that's good.
Good.
So I've got the toughest question.
Okay.
If you had to pick just one of your pedals, which one would you pick and why?
Like one of the old blood pedals.
Don't say the headphone amp either.
Yeah, I kind of like the headphone amp. No, one of your pedal. One of the blood pedals.
Yeah. Headphone amp would be a brilliant answer. I think, man, the fault is probably. The fault is probably the one that I would do. That's the distortion overdrive that is kind of tailored around the rig that I would use. So that pedal was sort of made with myself in mind.
Now, is that the one that we tried? Is that are the gain stages cascading or?
Yes. Okay. Yes, they are. So it's gain 1 is whatever you set it to on the control, and then gain 2 has its own knob, and it's in addition to whatever gain 1 is set to.
Okay, yeah, that's we could sort of figured that out, because if you turn gain 1 all the way down, gain 2 doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah. So they're dependent on one another.
Okay.
To really get it going, and then the EQ section on that I think is really helpful and unique. And I typically use a Marshall, either a JMP or a JCM 800. So I've got a little bit of grit on my clean channel per se. Mm-hmm. So the fault is used just to take it beyond that. Yeah.
It's not a full blown distortion. It's like just a pretty it's a very powerful overdrive. Yeah. And in gain 2, with gain 2 activated and turned up, it definitely gets to distortion territory. Yeah, for sure.
If you take out the mid control, turn it all the way down with the bass and the treble kind of like at moderate settings, you've essentially got a metal zone. What sounds like a delightful metal zone pedal.
Well, cool, man. Hey, it's been so interesting hearing about how you've come up to where you are in this company that we are all enjoying. And I really appreciate you sharing all that information with us. We're going to wrap this up with a favorite of ours. Is that the Ghost of Jared I hear?
Would you rather?
Would you rather?
Yeah. Okay, so our would you rather for this week is you have to say would you rather?
Would you rather
do a you have the choice of 2 gigs, all right? Now, the first gig is a honky tonk gig, but you have to play a BC Rich Kerry King V, or it is a metal gig and you have to play the Gretsch Country Gent. Any color in particular, Tony?
Let's just go traditional. We'll go with a nice burgundy one.
Burgundy. Okay. All right. So I know that's kind of weird, intentionally.
I mean, honky tonk BC Rich, please.
Well, I happened to watch the American Country Music Awards last night.
Yeah.
And I saw more crazy rock and roll guitars out and about.
Yeah.
So I think, I think you could easily play a BC Rich.
Sure. Is that what you're going with?
No, I'm not going with that. I'm just saying that, as you have.
Okay.
What are you doing? Can we
now?
delve into this a little bit more?
Okay.
So is this like a nightmare event? Like you get the call and they say, "Hey, this is your manager. You got 2 gigs. You can go to the honky tonk gig, but you got to play the BC Rich."
Yes. Okay. Do this way then. Yes. Sure.
And then they says,
I hadn't developed the backstory.
I need that. I have to have that.
Okay.
Or you could go to this.
And this manager works in the meatpacking district?
Pretty much. I think so. In Jersey.
Yeah. Okay.
You can go to this heavy metal gig. But you can only bring...
Tony just wanted more airtime.
You can only bring your Gretsch.
Right.
Your Gretsch country gentleman.
Yes. Okay. So that about sums it up. So which one are you doing?
Well, okay, since it is a nightmare.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the honky tonk gig with the BC Rich. For one of the reasons that I already said. It seems like country music is now embracing more and more unusual guitars.
Right.
And things.
Right.
And, just taking a hollow body guitar to a heavy metal gig with a big double stack. Well, that's just bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. So I'm going to the honky tonk gig with my BC Rich.
Okay. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'll go to the metal gig with the country gentleman.
One word for you.
Yeah, it'll be glorious. Yes. And I'll plug in a haunt fuzz and everybody will worship at the foot of my country gentleman. All right, everybody. Well, hey.
Did we ask our guest?
Yeah, he's going. He was like, no question.
Oh, that's right. He was right out of the gate. I'm sorry I didn't hear that because I was so caught up in the backstory. I needed that.
You give me an opportunity to play a BC Rich, I'll do it. Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is.
Excellent.
Cool, man. This has been great. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate your brand. I appreciate your pedals, and I can't wait to see where this stuff is going. And as we wrap up, I want to make sure that we give props to a few people for supporting us. We got Tom Burazin, Martin Cliff, David Wolfson, Matt Brammer, Carlos Mancha, Pete Marshall, Derek Fitzer, and Robin Smith, our executive producers. Thank you guys so much for your support of the show.
You know it.
If you would like to become an executive producer, head on over to patreon.com/theguitarknobs to find out how. And we look forward to hearing more from you, Brady, and your new pedals. Where can people go to find you right now? I mean, not, right now in your home or anything, but I
believe he said he's upstairs, so that's where we'll look for him.
Upstairs, man, hanging out. Oldbloodnoise.com. Dude, check out the pedals, and then Old Blood Noise on Instagram is kind of the main source of daily information that we put out there. So.
And you're on Reverb, right?
No, we're not. Actually.
Oh, well, people can definitely find your pedals on Reverb, but...
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah. Yes, through our different dealers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome, man. Tony, where can they find you if they want a custom pickguard or pickguard accessory?
Or even not a custom pickguard.
Or
a handcrafted.
Yes.
Jewel of a pickguard. I'm working on that whole marketing thing.
Yeah.
You can go to a website, www.pickguardian.com.
Excellent.
There's also Instagram feeds, Twitter feeds, Pache
all
book
this stuff.
Feeds.
Subscribe!
Yeah.
If there's anything that you are able to control in front of you, sound-wise, like...
Did you just hear something really loud?
Yeah, and we actually have that recorded, so I'm going to put that at the end.
We love doing this thing every week.
Oh,
that was nice. That was I think that was a noodle burp.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.